Hello again, most esteemed viewers. My name is, of course, Jekyllstein Gray, and I don't know why I said of course. And so I've been recently catching up on old LeftTube sorry, not old, I should say LeftTube videos that I either haven't seen in a while or haven't seen at all. And the main ones I want to talk about are mostly Contrapoints' video on Incels, Big Joel's video on Elliot Rogers, and Philosophy Tube's video about man abuse and trauma. Yeah, it's gonna be it's gonna be a fun discussion. So yeah, general content warning. There's going to be misogyny and references to like violence and mass shootings, and talk about abuse and all that. So if you don't want to hear about that, now's your chance, I guess. And the elephant in the room. I got my hair cut, and I finally put up the posters. I said I was going to do. I think it was in like the first video, one of these I did. Anyway, okay. So some groundwork. I'm gonna give you some background in case you don't know me and or have not seen anything I've done before. I am a straight white cis autistic man. And especially the cis autistic man part is really relevant to the discussion on incels because because a lot of them are, and I kind of understand, like, in a weird way, I'm gonna how do I? So there's so much I want to talk about, and I don't know where to start. So I guess I'll keep going with some of the background. I've always kind of okay. So the way I see it. This is going to be kind of a weird place to start, but it'll be relevant. The way I see it, there are a couple of like different like spheres of influence each person exerts socially. So, for instance, you've got the general, you've got most, enemies, which are like, they will usually work against you, and they will usually not, you'll usually not want to work with them. Anyway, enemies. Then most people are just strangers. You don't know them. You might work with them, but then there's, acquaintances, people who you're friendly with and you get along with and you talk to, and then there's like, your close inner circle. And obviously this isn't, I'm not trying to say, this is how I'm not trying to make a universal statement because I'm not a psychologist and whatnot, but that's just kind of my, the way I kind of see these social issues and ideas. So I just realized my computer's really low in storage right now. I should have probably made sure I had enough, but it'll be fine. It won't. If you're watching this, it's fine. Anyway, I keep doing that. And it's funny because most of if we're taking that model, most of my acquaintances have been women. Most of my I find it way easier to socialize with women than I do with men. And I think part of it is I feel safer and more comfortable around talking to women because I can be generally more open. I feel like I can be, that's what I should say. I feel like I can be more open and vulnerable because they're conditioned to offer empathy and whatnot, right? They're not conditioned, but, encouraged by society, I should say. But what's interesting is that most of my inner circle, my my all the really close friends who I constantly keep in touch with and all that, most of them are men, and also not just men, but like straight white nerdy men. And I think I'm not 100% sure why that is. If I had to wager a hypothesis, it would be that I kind of have some societal views about like where I think part of it is, I think when a woman gets close, it starts to, obviously you're gonna have close female friends and whatnot. I'm not arguing. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying like men can't be friends with women or the bullshit Steve Harvey goes on about or whatever. But I do think that at least and also I'm talking about me specifically. I do think that I have a tendency to see a heightened relationship with a woman, as almost in some ways scary. In some way, and I think that might be why, because there's a weird comfort in, Natalie Wynn, Contrapoints, in her video talks about, people going and seeking out, people who will be really mean to them, really insult them badly, because that feels more true than than people actually saying nice things about you, So the phrase basically, like, sometimes it really does feel like everything mean someone says about me is true and everything nice someone says about me is false. Which is, like, logically, I know it's ridiculous, but because people have said they like the stuff I do, which I don't really understand why, because I think that what I make is bad, and that's maybe the problem, I guess. Yeah, so so there's a, okay, I'm just gonna get this out of the way. I'm not entirely immune to incel lines of thinking. Well, obviously, I talked about the reasons why I think about myself like an incel, but sometimes I do like have those thoughts about like women, but it's not. How do I? But it's just like this brief thing, and I'm always like, that doesn't make any sense, and this is just some weird part of me, By the way, I really liked it that Natalie Contrapoints. I really liked it that she mentioned she said, when she said people who are what they call mental cells or whatever, people who think that they have problem when people are thinking that they have issues. When people think they have their mental problems are the reasons that they aren't attractive. And I think that is true. What am I? Sorry, I am. That moment when you kind of forget what you're talking about and you keep talking, and then like you eventually are like you have this like I was agreeing with something that I really but what was I even so the and what I just like how she said mental illness or autism. That's basically what I was trying to say. I really like how she said, like, she crowbarred them apart. it was a small touch, but I really appreciated it. Because and one of the things I think is interesting is, and one of the reasons I think I'm prone to those incel lines of thinking is the assumption that a lot of this stuff is predicated on the assumption that no one will no one will love you unless you make them, basically. And it is one of those things that, logically I know is ridiculous, and even if it was true, I would rather just not anyone love me than try and force someone to do that. But I'm sorry. But I think, and logically, I know it's wrong. Like, there was one woman who asked me out, and and that didn't really go anywhere. It was weird, and I'm not gonna really go too much into it. And there was apparently, when I was in 8th grade, I spent my 8th grade year living in Germany, and we kind of traveled all over Europe and stuff. And my mom and my dad apparently told me that when we were visiting Westminster Abbey, someone, a girl was checking me out or something, and I was like, part of me to this day thinks that they might have been lying to make me feel better, because I didn't notice her. Although, again, it is very plausible. If you're watching this, which if you are, small world, by the way. If you are watching this, I'm sorry, and you had no way of knowing, but when I'm in a place like Westminster Abbey, dating is like the last thing on my mind. It's funny because my desire for a romantic relationship is kind of waxes and wanes with depending on my situation. So not even the situation, but like generally the time. Recently, I wonder if you noticed. I have been thinking a lot about it recently, and I have had I have it's worked its way into a lot of the videos I've made, which is interesting because it's not intentional, but it is kind of where my mind is at. And there's a weird, going back to the self-loathing type stuff, there's a weird comfort in knowing that you're nothing, if that makes any sense, because then you don't have anything to live up to. It's funny because I have been promoting this channel, and I have been trying to get it to a wider audience, and it's in general what I want. But it's also scary because then I'm going to have to deal with all this stuff, with a lot of other stuff, a lot of other issues that I don't have to deal with if I'm just putting stuff out there and a couple people are watching them, yeah, so let's see, what else do I I need to start writing all this stuff down. There's so much. I think that, and there's a lot of reasons why. Well, one thing I actually want to bring up is, for those of you who don't know, I was raised Mormon. And it actually was it was weird because there was Mormon teenagers aren't allowed to date until they are 16. And even then it's a group date thing. And then the general thing is that guys go on their missions and girls go on either on their own missions, but more usually they just like get ready for marriage. You know, obviously there's tons of problems with that, and the church only recognizes the two genders and yada 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 yada. I'm sure if you are watching my content of all things, I'm sure you are at least aware of that. But the thing with how do I put this? The the thing with that is for an autistic kid is it's a weird comfort, because because you don't have to worry about that, I was like, yay, but also there was problems with, shall we say, urges and urge repression. Let's leave it at that. And and there was also sorry. The and also if I would be on a mission right now, which I would have hated. And I never was. Okay, I gotta pull back. Going on that tangent. The point is that once I got back from my mission, I had to make a settlement with the YouTuber council, and they said I'm only allowed a couple of tangents per video. But when I would get back from my mission, then it would be hell. Because then it would be, oh, why haven't you gotten married? Oh, why haven't you gotten married? Oh, why haven't you gotten married? Because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to get married. Like, I was born when my parents were, when my mom was 25 and my dad was 24. I thought that was normal for most of my life because that's, the environment I grew up in. And so they have singles wards, wards or congregations, where you people compared them to there was a meme I saw where someone compared them to the Hunger Games. It would have not been fun. That's what I assume. And there's I also think one other thing is that the incel community often is ascribing things to women that I think a feminist would have a very would also okay. Let me back up. So the way I see it is you have it's funny because they apply they think that women are all going after these guys after a couple of guys. First of all, that's kind of bullshit, and second of all, they the reason that so many people the reason that the reason that there's been a lot of times where people have been like, well, maybe my parents are like, maybe they do like you, and I'm like, then they should ask. They should, because they're probably more comfortable than I am, and I would probably say yes because I am very lonely. And so the reason, but the thing is, the reason that they don't ask is, well, maybe they don't want to ask, which is, whatever. That's not, whatever. Can't, I don't want to try and force anyone to like me. But but I think also if they do want to go out with me, but they don't ask, it's because society, the social script is, and I might be totally off about this because I have never been on a date or whatever. But the social script is the woman sends signals to the guy that she's interested in, and then the guy pursues, basically. To use a really gross term that has, and there's so much wrong with that that's beyond the scope of this video. But one problem is that if, and the problem that most pertains to people like me, is if the if the if the care if the if the woman is way more comfortable, if the woman is first of all, if the woman's sending signals and the guy just, like, if you're like me and you just don't pick up on those types of really subtle hints, that, that's all, that doesn't go anywhere, and no one's happy. And second of all, the like sorry, and if sometimes it's more like, again, if you're like, I want to be asked, because then I don't feel like I'm imposing. I'm actually really, really afraid of making women uncomfortable, which is, and I'm not being like, oh, like, the feminists are, ruining traditional, whatever. I'm not, and again, I would much rather die a virgin than hurt anybody, especially in that manner. But and that's actually one thing I want to get to later. The emphasis on sex, on like how that is what is required for. But anyway, I'll get into that later. Except I kind of forgot what I was gonna say next. Oh yeah. So this is a little stunt I was thinking about earlier. So I am a pretty tall guy. Yeah. And I'm like 6'2", 6'3" ish. I am very loud, as I have been told repeatedly. I'm very loud. I am very, I'm not buff. I can tell you, I'm sure you've already guessed it, but I can tell you emphatically, I do not lift. It's funny because I'm going to use one of my tangents. It's funny, earlier this summer, I was with a bunch of my cousins who are way more, they're way more traditionally masculine, which is another thing to get into later. But a bunch of my cousins who were all, like, they took off their shirts to take a picture, and I was like and they were all like, they're much buffer, they were weighing themselves on the scale, and I was like 150, 150, 150. I go on, it's like 220, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. They all take their shirts off for a picture, and I leave mine on, and I'm like, no one wants to see that. Anyway, so another thing, I guess I'll take the pin out on this, is that the culture's emphasis on, and I do want to sound not dismissive here. I mean, obviously, a lot of incel ideas are just flat out ridiculous and excuses for hating women and blaming them for things that are really the problem of patriarchy's fault and not women's fault. Like, they're advocating for something that is not going to, but that's what the right does. That's what the far right does really well. That's why the Nazis called themselves National Socialists, and why they blamed the Jews on the problems that were really caused by capitalism, just the Treaty of Versailles, the Weimar Republic, so they made it seem like they were actually solving these issues, when in reality they were only protecting people at the top and hurting a lot of people for no goddamn reason. Anyway, that's like a tangent too. But I do think that, Contrapoints mentioned in her video, and I don't think she really went into this, which is kind of a shame. But I guess that's why I have this channel. And if you're watching, Natalie, first of all, thank you. And I don't know why you're doing this, but I'm a fan, and I am gonna post this on the video, but on the comments, and so you might watch this. But one thing I think that she didn't really like. Okay, so she mentions, first of all, ground basis. I got to start there. She mentions the idea that of people saying, okay, the problem is you gotta get off your computer, go clean your room, go hang out with people, try and develop a personality, yada yada yada, and a lot of them are like, they don't they a lot of them are and she was like, she pointed out like, oh, and they see that as like a microaggression, like Chadsplaining or whatever. And yes, it is and she I guess she does touch on this in her video a bit, but it's not a microaggression. Incels aren't a minority of people, but she's also it's also kind of like when people, again, I have been the people in those, pretty much all those pictures. There's the one that's like the ugly guy, when the ugly guy walks into the party and there's a bunch of beautiful women like looking repulsed, and I don't think I've, like, again, logically speaking, I don't think I've ever actually been to a party like that, but goddamn, I have been to parties that felt like that. And the so the part of the problem is that I'm sorry, I keep losing my train of thought. My mind wants to go into so many directions at one time, and I don't know what so I always end up choosing one, and then so I think she was a bit too dismissive of the idea. When people, I mean, obviously, again, some like it doesn't excuse any behavior or ideology or whatever, or reaction or their ideas, but it is like I think it is really dismissive, and it feels condescending. That's what I should say. It feels really condescending when people are like, oh, you just need to do these things. It's like, you don't think I've tried that? Like are you serious right now? Like, I've been to so many parties, and they were all like, what no, I'm a Trekkie too if you're the first time viewer, but like what Barkley says in Next Generation, he's like, I'm the guy who goes to a party and tries to talk to people and then ends up trying to look comfortable staring at a plant. Like we have tried, and a lot of times it does feel like it's well-intentioned but ignorant and kind of insulting advice. So the what else is there? There's always the one thing I forget to talk about that I tend to I think about these things. I think about these videos while what I want to say, usually while I'm at work, just because my mind needs to be occupied. So I'll usually, think about what I say, and then, I sometimes watch part of the Contrapoints video on my break. One thing I want to say, I should bring up the other points too. One thing I want to say is in regards to this is, I guess, is kind of unrelated, but it's also something that's not on my mind. Anyway, I'm going to talk about it, and you can't stop me. So there's a part in the And all, by the way, all the videos I talk about are going to be linked in the description. If for some reason you haven't, you've seen my stuff, but you haven't seen theirs. The Philosophy Tube video about trauma, he laid out all the ways he was thinking, and he was rationalizing the abuse, made me go, holy shit, I have to be really careful. Because I feel like my mind is really susceptible to those kind of tactics. Because I'm already dispositioned to put the blame on myself before I blame anyone else. I'm already like inclined to try and improve myself rather than try and get others to improve. Even if and sometimes it's good, obviously, but sometimes it can be used against you, basically. Yeah, so the another thing is, and I guess this is also kind of tangentially related, is why do people, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, why does it seem like, and this is more just general toxic nerd culture, why are you so intent on pushing women out? Like really? Like why? Why is this such a, because on the one hand it's like, they're like, oh, we can't have any girls, and then they're like, why don't any girls want to play games with you? It's like, guys, women like games too, and I don't know why why is this the hill you're willing to die on? And while we're at it, kind of segue, why is sex required for a happy life? Obviously, I'm not trying to be dismissive of anyone, again, I would like to be in a romantic relationship, and I would like to have sex sometime in the future, so it's not, I'm not saying it doesn't make you happy, or it's not, or you shouldn't be wanting it, but at the same time, it's not the only thing that's going to make you happy, and a lot of the things that they want, like, whatever, like sexual Marxism, which isn't a thing, but, is kind of a it is kind of indicative of the way they think. That's not going. You can't just form a connection with someone who doesn't want to form, and so you might be sexually satisfied, but you are not going to be. You're still going to be lonely. You don't have to have another person to sexually satisfy yourself. But you still are going to be lonely. Trust me, I know this from experience. But also, you don't have to, I'm still, again, as much as I talk about being lonely and all that stuff is true, I'm still leading a satisfying life. I'm still studying and learning and, and thinking, and I'm alive. I'm doing all this really cool stuff. I'm, and it's funny because, I sent out a tweet a while ago. That might actually be the thumbnail for this video. I don't know. I don't know what the thumbnail is going to be yet. But I sent out a tweet a while ago that was basically said, like, I am more comfortable with the studying the humanities and promoting humanism than actually having a conversation with humans. I can much more easily slip into philosophy discussions than I can, like, oh, how was your day? That's harder for me for some reason. I don't know. That's just a thing. I'm trying to think of what else. I always feel like these are longer. These are either going to be longer or shorter than they actually are. This one feels shorter, but there's probably something else. I mean, I think that the and also I should say, actually, as an addendum to the people's the sexual the questions, like, some people are just asexual, some people just are aromantic, some people just aren't interested in that stuff, which is fine. And I guess I should further elaborate on the big part, because I don't think I ever did this. I don't know. I am really I am terrified of making someone feel unsafe and of hurting someone. You know, I am you know, again, I am such a, again, I could really hurt someone, and I'm terrified of that, and especially since if I'm in a relationship with someone, there's probably going to be, at some point, I am probably going to raise my voice, to yell, and to get, like, I'm certainly not gonna hit anybody. I haven't hit anybody. I don't remember the last time I hit somebody. As insecure as I am, and as much as I don't want to make people feel unsafe, I don't think I am dangerous. I don't think that I am actually going to hurt someone. Well, at least not on a logical level. I'm not going to discount the possibility, and I'm always kind of have to be aware of that. But I have to accept that. But the what else was I going to say? You know what? I'll do an addendum. I'll do a part 2. If something big comes up, you know. In the meantime, I don't know. You know, patriarchy hurts everyone. Probably hurts women more, but also hurts men too. At least the men with no other institutional power. Anyway, that's a whole nother discussion. I mean, there are so many other things, you know. One quick little thing is that I always have been kind of a more feminine person. You know, I've always been more feminine than my cousins and whatnot. And, you know, I actually remember getting bullied in, like, kindergarten. This memory might be complete bollocks. So keep that in mind, but I do remember getting bullied by some of my female classmates for liking Wonder Woman, which is a bit weird. Obviously, women perpetuating misogyny and whatnot and sexism is a whole nother discussion that I am not ready to have right now, because it's beyond the scope of this video. And this video is already longer than the much better video that inspired me to talk about it. Yeah, and all right. I guess that's it. To be continued, maybe, if I have something. As always, when I talk about these issues, and I say something worthy of criticism, please do it in the comment below, in the comment boxes. Obviously, I would request, actually, that normally I don't request this, but this time I would request that you do remain civil, at least. Not. I mean, I don't want to call for civility because that's such a silencer. But I just don't call me names and not explain why. You know, because I might have said something misogynistic or racist or whatever, but I don't think. You know, I'm not. You know, I don't think that. You know. That I don't think racistly and I don't think misogynistically, but that doesn't mean that I can't. You know, I'm a consequentialist. I don't really consider intentions. I consider actions. So if I did something wrong, let me know, and I'll put that in the addendum video too. I still need to do part 2 of my lessons animations taught us, but can't do that right now. Anyway, alright. Thank you for watching, esteemed viewers. If you like this video, give it a like. If you want to be notified when I do more of these or my analytical Let's Plays, you ring the bell, and subscribe, and comment. I'm actually really interested in seeing your comments. One more thing. If you're an autistic woman, I would actually love to hear how much attention you get from guys. I am curious, because that would be an interesting point of comparison. Yeah. So, like, comment, share, subscribe. Don't break. Feel free to break the rules if it's not hurting anyone. And I will see you another time.